Hi everyone, today we're doing the absolute value equations only. The equations and the inequalities are a little bit difficult, so make sure you're paying attention. Alright, so here goes. I'll close all of this. So what is absolute value? Absolute value is the distance between any two numbers on the number line. It doesn't matter where these two numbers are. The distance between these two numbers are absolute value. And since distance can only be positive, absolute value is always positive as well. So we say that the absolute value of 5 is 5. And the absolute value of -5 is also 5. Therefore, if we have a variable inside and we say the absolute value of x is equal to 5, you can conclude that either x is -5 or x is +5. So keeping that in mind, we're going to solve equations with absolute value. These are the rules. You want to isolate the absolute value first, and then because we always solve equations using inverse operations, we want to use the word or in this case to eliminate the absolute value notation. You will end up with two equations and you're going to solve each one of them and answer in a solution set and graph if the question asks you to. So here's the first one. If the absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to 9, then you're going to isolate the absolute value. I recommend for some of you, you may want to highlight the absolute value. And then you say, all right, let me isolate my absolute value. And it becomes the absolute value of x is +7. Now you're going to eliminate the absolute value sign by putting the word or. And I want everybody to put a little line in the middle to separate the two parts. On the right, it will just be x is equal to 7. On the left, it will be the negative of 7. So x is equal to -7. And this gives us two answers which you put in a solution set. And if you are asked to graph, then you're going to simply put two numbers on this number line. You're going to put -7 and +7, and you're going to color in only those two numbers because there are only two solutions to this equation. Let's try the next one. In this case, when you highlight the absolute value, which includes the absolute value sign, you know that if the absolute value of something is equal to 13, you're going to put the word or with a line in the middle. On the right side, without the absolute value, 2x minus 5 is equal to 13. On the left, 2x minus 5 is equal to -13. And then you solve each one. It turns out x can either be -4 or +9, which you put in a solution set. And if you're asked to graph, you're going to put only those two numbers on your number line and you're going to color them. This indicates that there are only two answers to this question. So now I want you to pause the video and try these two equations and see if you get the answer right. I am going to highlight the absolute value in each one of them to help you a little bit. Remember, you're going to isolate the absolute value first. So we have equal to 10. I'm going to put my line and put the word or. On the right side, it's equal to 10. On the left, -10. Solve, and these are my answers. Equal to 4 or with a bar in the middle, and equal to 4 or -4. And you solve, and that goes in a solution set. Now sometimes there is no answer because absolute value cannot be negative. Absolute value has to be positive. So here are some examples. Let's say that's my equation and I highlight the absolute value. divide both sides, subtract 5, and then because absolute value of something cannot be a negative number, you can simply say that there is no solution, and you put the no solution symbol. In this one, we subtract 12, and then we divide by 3, and we still get a negative number. Therefore, this equation also has no solution. The last thing you want to do is be able to write an equation if you are given an absolute value, a graph. Now, in this case, there is a graph given and the only solution is -5. If there is only one solution, it is going to be an equation, a regular equation. So we write for this, the equation is x is equal to -6. However, if your graph has two numbers that are marked, that means this is an absolute value equation, and you have to find the midpoint of these two numbers. The way to find the midpoint is to add the two numbers and divide by 2. In this case, the midpoint is 0, and the formula you're going to use is x minus the midpoint is equal to the distance of the midpoint from either side. So we're going to say the absolute value here of x minus 0 is equal to 6, and you always simplify the 0, so its absolute value of x is equal to 6. In this one, in the next one, we have two numbers marked, -8 and +4. Because there are two answers, you know automatically this is an absolute value equation. So you're going to find the midpoint by adding the two numbers and dividing by 2. It turns out that the midpoint is -2. So it's x minus the midpoint is equal to 6, because the midpoint is 6 units from either side. And then of course you always simplify, and it turns out to be x plus 1 is equal to 2. You can verify this. If you solve it, you will find that the two answers are -8 and +4. In the next one, the two numbers marked are -16 and -2. So you're going to find the midpoint by adding the 2 and dividing by 2. Turns out that the midpoint is -9, and so you simplify this. I forgot to simplify this. So this is going to be simplified 2x plus 9, this is terrible writing, is equal to 7. And that is it for today. See you in class. Goodbye.